I wish to welcome you for joining the exclusive group of ophthalmologists that think outside the eye and join the success of the M22 IPL with OPT by Luminous. In this video, I'll share with you how I treat patients using M22 IPL with OPT. You should explain to the patient that they will need 4 treatments. 1 treatment every 3 to 6 weeks for 4 sessions. Usually I find that 3 to 4 weeks is best. There is no follow-up needed after an intense pulse light treatment. The patient will see you for their next visit, where you can examine them and then set them up for their next treatment. After the patient has gone through the 4 treatment protocol, they'll be needing maintenance treatments. In our clinic, we have the patient come back 3 months after their last IPL treatment. At that examination, we can determine when they will need a maintenance treatment. Usually, patients need maintenance treatments every 6 months to a year. It is best that the patient avoid the sun prior to treatments and immediately after the treatment. After a treatment, they can use a sunblock or protect with a hat. IPL treatments are recommended for patients who have Fitzpatrick 1 to Fitzpatrick 4. We do not treat patients who have Fitzpatrick 5 or 6.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rolando Toyos of Toyos Clinic. I'm an ophthalmologist here in Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee, and today we're going to be talking about intense pulse light, and more specifically the Luminous Intense Pulse Light, their new system called the M22 with Optimal Pulse Technology, OPT. So here you have the M22 screen, and what's different about the M22 IPL is that you have the ability to control the amount of pulses, how much time you're getting per pulse, and how much time you're getting off pulse. So for example, here we have 3 pulses that we're going to administer in one flash to the patient. And in that 3 pulses, and these are my standard treatments when I'm treating patients for the skin, 6 seconds on, 6 milliseconds on, 50 milliseconds off, then another 6 milliseconds on, 50 milliseconds off, and then another 6 milliseconds on. And then here you can control the amount of joules per centimeter squared that you're bringing with that flash. Then what you can also do, and this gets back to our handpiece, is with the M22 you have the ability to adjust the filter to get the wavelength of light that you want. Now for us, we use the 590 for all our patients, Fitzpatrick 1, Fitzpatrick 2, Fitzpatrick 3, and Fitzpatrick 4. But if you want to exchange filters, you have the ability to do that by just taking the handpiece, lifting up, pulling out the filter. You can stick it back in here, and you can pull out another filter and then treat. This foot plate, which we use, is because it gives good coverage, but say you want to treat just one little spot, you have the ability to change this out and treat that one spot. So once you've got a treatment level that you want and you want to save it, you could come here, you could save it on presets and press OK, and then if you ever want to retrieve it, you go to the stethoscope here and it's saved there. You click on that, say OK, and you're back to your presets. So now that we have a general idea of the working of the intense pulse light and how it works, what we're going to do is IPL on the skin of the face.
It is best that patients take off all makeup before treatment with intense pulse light.
So here we are with the patient and we're about to treat. The main question I ask patients is if they're Fitzpatrick 1 through 3, I ask them if they tan or they burn when they get sun. Do you tan or do you burn when you get sun?
I tan.
tan. So if a patient tans, then we're going to lower the energy level. So I've set this at 13 joules per centimeter squared. We're going to do 3 pulses, and we're going to do my standard of 6 milliseconds on, 50 milliseconds off for the 3 different pulses. And then we're also using the 590 filter. Describe to the patient what they're going to feel and what they're going to see is they're going to see a bright flash of light. They're going to feel some heat, and it may feel like a little rubber band on the skin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put these little shields. So if you were to treat a patient without doing the eye shield and that light were to go on the iris, the light would be absorbed by the iris, and that could give you transillumination defects and inflammation in the eye. If it goes deeper into the retina, it can affect the retina, so you really want to cover those eyes. So what I tell the patient to do is open their eyes, look up, close, and we put the filter. So then we take some ultrasound gel. This is the same ultrasound gel that you would find for doing an ultrasound on a woman who's pregnant. And we're just going to apply a little thin sheet of ultrasound gel right in the area that we're going to be treating. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be treating tracheus to tracheus. So we're going to do 1 pass from ear to ear, including the nose. And then we're going to do a second pass. And what we found is in the double pass method, we get the best results. Now, when you're starting, I would recommend wearing some eye shields to block the light. I've been doing this so long, I have the ability to close my eyes at the point of treatment so that the light doesn't affect my eyes. But I think in the beginning, go ahead and put your goggles on. And we're going to start treatment. So what you want to do in treatment, you don't want to push down on the skin, because if you do, you'll close off any little abnormal telangiectasias. So you just want a just barely contact on the skin. Warn the patient on the first one. So 1, 2, 3. And how is that?
Not a problem.
Not a problem. And 1, 2, 3. And then we start treating. Now this usually takes me about 5 minutes to do a double pass. As you can see, I'm doing the cheek. The important treatment parts is right here, right on the lid margin. And usually it's about 4 treatments with mild overlap so that you get the full lid margin or the lower lid margin. The question that I'm often asked is, why don't we treat the upper lids? What we found was that the brow acts as a barrier to energy and heat. So when you treat the upper lids, that energy has nowhere to go, and it sits on the upper lid, and it's too much energy, even if you lower the energy down to even 8 joules per centimeter. But the importance of hitting these 4 shots right on that lower lid margin, trying to get as close to the lid margin as possible, and that will give you the best results. If you just treat here and not get close to the lid margin, you will get some results, but you won't get the full effect, which in our clinic we have over a 95% success rate. One of the advantages that the patients will see with IPL is not only will it help their ocular surface, but it's going to help the skin where you're doing the treatment. So you're going to get some facial rejuvenation where you're doing the IPL. Now some patients are going to ask you, well, I love the way my skin looks where you treat it, can you treat the rest of my face? And if somebody wants a full facial intense pulse light treatment, IPL treatment, we're going to do a 1 pass in the parts that we didn't get. So I did a 13 joules per centimeter squared on this patient. what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase to 15, and I'm going to do one pass on the places where I didn't treat. Now patients are going to ask you if you can treat the neck because they're going to like the way their skin looks. You don't want to treat below the jawline because there's some studies that show that low-level light therapy can stimulate the thyroid. Now you want to be careful not to get near the hair or the eyebrows. IPL can be used for hair removal, so you want to be careful when you're going around the eyebrows and around the hair, and that's why she's wearing this little bouffant hair net to keep the hair away. We want to take away the gel. So once we're done taking off all the gel, now we're going to bring the patient over to the slit lamp, and there we're going to do meibomian gland expression. What we found was when patients get intense pulse light and IPL to the skin around the lid margin is that there's some heat generated in the dermis which will actually dilate the meibomian glands and melt the secretions. And I said before, there's a heat wave that goes from lower to upper, so we actually get that same effect of heating of the upper meibomian glands, so those secretions get melted so that we can express those as well.
If a patient experiences any intense redness on the skin following intense pulse light treatment, the best treatment is to place some Aquaphor in the areas. Usually the redness will go away within 1 to 3 days.
All right, so we've just finished the IPL. Now we've brought the patient over to the slit lamp. And what we're going to do is we have the ability now to work on these blocked glands. Look up for me. And I just take a Q-tip, which I've already moistened. There's about 30 to 35 meibomian glands in each of the lids. Oh, you can you see that on the TV screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these glands are supposed to secrete a olive oil-like secretion. She's making a toothpaste-like secretion. So you can see that energy goes up to the upper lid and actually opens the upper lid so that you can do gland expression. Now, I'm pretty vigorous the first treatment because I want to get as much of this toothpaste-like secretion out as possible. So you just see all that toothpaste that's in the glands. That's completely abnormal. So you can see why she suffers from some dry eye. Look down. You can see all that toothpaste that's coming onto my Q-tip. So patients, when you're doing this part, they're going to want to blow their nose. The reason being is all this abnormal secretion is draining into their nose. Look up for me. So we do upper and lower. She's got toothpaste in both. This is a perfect patient for intense pulse light. This also shows you that patient doesn't have to have rosacea to be helped with intense pulse light. And always remembering that this is a skin gland problem that's causing a poor tear film, which is causing the signs and symptoms of dry eye. So it takes me about 5 minutes to do a intense pulse light treatment and 5 minutes to do expression. Look down. Right after we do the expression, I use a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory because we were squeezing on the conjunctiva, and that decreases inflammation. Very good. And that's the treatment.
Thank you for joining the training of the M22 Intense Pulse Light with Optimal Pulse Technology. Feel free to contact me or one of the Luminous representatives for further information and marketing materials for your clinic. Thank you for joining the group of ophthalmologists that think outside the eye.